Welcome everyone to the AMA regarding the partnership BAM protocol had with Godwoken, a layer 2 solution on the Nervos network. I'll be your host for today, Leon. I'm a community manager at BAM protocol for about a year now. And besides my work at BAM, I work as an account manager at a retail company in the Netherlands. Today we have with us Eric, he's the CEO of Godwoken, as well as Teller, who's the product manager for Hadouken Finance. Nervos Layers 2 Godwoken is a gaming platform where developers can build Web3 games on, which is now 100% EVM compatible, meaning that it allows developers to easily launch a variety of dApps ranging from DeFi to gaming and NFTs that are multi-chain. It is also suitable for all things DeFi related, hence Hadouken. Furthermore, Hadouken is the first and only place on Godwoken where users can lend out and borrow against their CKB token, as well as a range of other tokens bridged over from Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chain. If I'm not mistaken, Eric and Teller, Hadouken is the sound that is used to be made in the game Street Fighter. So welcome guys, nice to have you here. Before we do a deep dive into the Godwoken and Hadouken projects, could you please briefly introduce yourselves to everyone?
Yeah, so I guess I'll go first here. So as mentioned, I'm Eric. I'm the CEO of Godwoken and the co-founder. I'm doing this project along with the CIO and CTO, who are the co-founders with me. They're the people responsible for, really building the technology behind the blockchain. So I'm super excited to have them with me doing that. To keep it very brief, I've been a developer for, 20 plus years now, worked through sort of the Web 2 world. Before it was Web 2, I guess I started in Web 1. Later moved into gaming development, sort of when I got bored of that, and then later into blockchain, which is sort of how I ended up here. Before this, I was director of developer relations and support engineering at the Nervos Foundation, where we incubated Godwoken, and then have more recently spun out as our own company and our own project and everything else. So how about you, Tyler?
Thanks, Eric. So I'm a product manager over at Hadouken. We're building Godwoken's premier DeFi application, which is complete with the bridge, a DEX, and a borrowing lending platform. Before doing this, I've basically been doing stuff in the crypto space ever since crypto was around, or more or less for about 9 years. And I could tell you what else I've worked on, but that would defeat the purpose of being anonymous. Though we are internally doxed, obviously, with the Godwoken team and Nervos. So anybody listening at home, this is my real voice. I'm not using a voice changer or anything like that.
Okay, very good, guys. So for Eric and Teller both, how did you guys get involved into the kind of Nervos network? Eric, you've told me that you've been a developer for a long time. How did you end up in crypto from being a Web 2 developer to then moving into crypto and Web 3? How did you start up in crypto?
Yeah, so actually I made that move not as a developer, but actually through developer relations. And I was working in developer relations in the gaming industry for gaming tools that are the most popular gaming asset for Unity called Playmaker. And really enjoyed the process of teaching and working on an educational front. I actually later moved into the Polkadot space through Substrate and did tutorials for Substrate and stuff like that, unofficially, and then, made my move to Nervos. So it was sort of, very indirectly, actually.
Cool. And Teller?
Yeah, so just to talk a little bit about, why we're using Godwoken and where this all came from. So, Godwoken was born out of a need for a high-speed, low-cost blockchain with all of the security needs that today's market demands. And because it's anchored to Nervos Layer 1, which is a proof-of-work blockchain, it's pretty much as secure as it gets. And then on top of that, fees are extremely low. At times, a few cents for transactions that would otherwise cost $10 or $20 in Ethereum. And that's with today's lower gas fees. We all remember when swaps on Ethereum hit $200, $300 during the last bull run. So Ethereum is great for a lot of things, but it doesn't really democratize access to DeFi in the same way the industry needs. Specifically, not everyone can afford to use DeFi products in Ethereum. and that's where Godwoken comes in, and that's where Hadouken comes in.
So let me interject there for a second. You guys may not know, even you, Teller, may not know that currently we are the cheapest L2 optimistic role in existence. So if you go to L2 fees and you compare our pricing to them, we are the cheapest on the gas pricing side, which is an interesting thing. We've managed to keep it that way. Unfortunately, we are not listed on L2fees.info. If people go check it, they're Ethereum only L2s. They don't state it on there. We put in our pull request and everything. We've talked to them and they said, we would like to branch out of Ethereum soon, but they haven't done that yet. So just tossing that in there. The cheapest out there. Good place to do your DeFi trades.
Yeah, that's a big plus. Yeah, for sure.
So cheap that we test on mainnet, right? You can never do that with Ethereum. So
cool, super cool. So thank you for the explanation. Now that we have the formal info covered, so to say, let me do a brief explanation and overview on the partnership between Godwoken and BAM protocol as a whole. BAM protocol has been a forefront Oracle solution for the overall Nervos network. As our business development team got in contact with Godwoken. At BAM, when we look at partners, we focus a lot on partners who have strong fundamentals and that have potential to grow their ecosystem or product, depending on who they are, of course. In terms of ecosystems, the most attractive players are those who we believe have the capability to onboard quality dApps or even build their own. With Nervos, the ultimate goal of becoming the universal passport to blockchain. It's interoperable, a network across the blockchain ecosystem with a multi-chain solution will allow more and more dApps to be launched on Nervos. We're excited to be part of this journey to help propel Nervos to become the future-proof blockchain platform of choice for Web3 developers. So yeah, I'm very happy we got this going a couple months ago. Been told by the BD team that the integration went very smooth between Godwoken. So do you have guys anything to add on that?
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys, working with us and vice versa. Certainly, we've been in discussion, together for quite a while as Godwoken took a while to get to that point where we are now, and being 100% EVM compatible. So this is exciting to see it to actually come to fruition and actually be deployed and people using it in the wild. So that's, for me, is sort of the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned interoperability. I guess two things. So interoperability is the single most important aspect that today's platforms need to compete, aside from, of course, security. And what we have on Hadouken now is we have bridges bringing funds in from Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, and we'll be adding support for other chains as well in the future. And then on top of that, just in terms of the general partnership, having an Oracle is tantamount for the things that we're doing on the lending platform. So we need the ability to pull real-time pricing data using on-chain oracles, just for the ability to make sure that everything is priced correctly, that the system's health is always accurately reported. People aren't getting liquidated and things like that. Liquidated erroneously, at least. Right? People need to get liquidated; they get liquidated, and that's where BAM comes in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially if all the things that happened this year. I think a secure and reliable Oracle is really key for DeFi platforms, and security is also one of our top priorities at BAM protocol. So that's a good thing. And moving on, seeing as I've already explained what the Godwoken project is in a short version, Eric, could you elaborate on my explanation in depth for our viewers that do not know what Godwoken is yet? And next to that, can you give a smart overview of the vision that Godwoken has in the current Web3 space?
Yeah, so the full name of Godwoken right now is Godwoken Game Plus Blockchain. And, obviously the word game is in there, and we're focusing a lot on the gaming industry. The word the reason we have the word plus is because we are a blockchain that not only supports gaming, but also has an ecosystem to support that. And that's, where Hadouken really comes in, for example, is that, we think that when it comes to blockchain gaming in general, or, any kind of games that integrate blockchain, they don't have to be blockchain specific gamings, really benefit from having sort of everything that Web3 has to offer, such as DeFi, such as NFT stores, and, all these kinds of things. So we think, when it comes to gaming and stuff, the whole point of blockchain is not to be an island. And so we want to, focus on building up that ecosystem around it of things to support it. And for us, again, we really are focusing on sort of the creative space, whether it's gaming specifically, but also, music artists or authors, fine arts, that sort of stuff. That's sort of the community we want to serve and to be, a big part of. And, I think the last part of that puzzle for us is the sort of easy onboarding experience. And so, we can talk about that a little bit later, but ultimately, I think the biggest challenge is having that easy onboard experience without losing what is blockchain, like what really makes blockchain. So I'll leave it at that. We can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, no,
I could go on. Yeah. I could go on for a while. So yeah.
No, that's a great summary. Thank you, Rick. Is there anything you can share regarding future contact for the Godwoken project? What are you guys looking forward the most?
I think there are two really big things that we're looking forward to, like two big pieces of the puzzle. One is a gasless API service, which is in an MVP stage right now. So certainly there's things out there like Biconomy and things like that, and we certainly considered those. But we actually decided to roll something in-house we felt would be a little bit easier to use and sort of to serve our users better. And so, that's this gasless API part. And really, it's not free gas. I think that's a bit of a misnomer. Unfortunately, on my part, it's essentially prepaid gas. So that, essentially comes from the contract itself.
Yeah.
The other big part for this is we have a metaverse wallet coming. So that will be like Q1. We have some partners around that we haven't announced yet. And the whole idea, again, around that wallet is that it's a non-custodial wallet, but it's a single-click sign-in, social sign-in. So you can sign in like Twitch, Twitter, Gmail, whatever else. So the idea is this. Maybe you're playing World of Warcraft on your phone, and you get a trophy. And that trophy is actually an NFT, but you don't have to know anything about blockchain. You want to collect it, you sign in with your Twitch, your Twitter, check one box and says, hey, I agree to the terms of service, and you've collected it. It's a gasless API, and that's it. You're onboarded. And so I think also, maybe I'll let Teller, think about this as well, or talk about it as well, is like, creating this extremely easy onboarding solution so that people can get into DeFi, they can get into gaming, they can get into NFTs without having to be like, okay, I have to download MetaMask, install it, figure out what these things are, buy CKB in order to do a transaction, maybe to collect something free. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about. That's sort of the direction that we're heading.
I really got me excited as well, seeing as I used to be a gamer. I think the low-hanging fruit is like easy onboarding. Like you said, if you need to download everything and buy tokens on an exchange before you can enter DeFi, then people leave after like being half through the process. So I think this is a solution. I think that's really interesting and cool for the crypto space. Before we move on, let me do a quick summary on what BAN protocol is for the people that do not know yet. BAN is a leading Oracle provider. It provides real-world data to blockchain ecosystems. Blockchain simply cannot get data without feed from an Oracle solution. This is basically where BAN protocol comes in play. BAN protocol flexible Oracle design allows developers to use any data. Developers can then create custom-made oracles to connect smart contracts with traditional web APIs within minutes. In short, BAN allows any entity to request data from an API onto the blockchain. BAN protocol also has our own chain, which is called BAN chain. This is also where we differentiate ourselves from other Oracle solutions out there. Not to mention, BAN chain is fully decentralized. Ben is also fully IBC compatible, so any smart contract application on the Cosmos ecosystem could seamlessly get access to our Oracle solution. I personally do think, having worked with the team for quite a while now, we are very flexible and adaptive in the needs of our customers. This is personally for me a key takeaway, because the team has actually grown tremendously over the past few months. But I still think the personal contact from our BD team and for onboarding new partnerships is a really key takeaway. And to add on that, Ben has also recently, as some of you might have noticed, launched our new flagship product, Ben VRF, which I'm personally really excited about. And Eric, a question for you. I've been told by our team that you guys are looking to integrate our VRF product in upcoming games. Am I correct?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about this. This is something I've been waiting for, asking for, begging for. Give us VRF, and that we've been blessed with it. So it's going to be coming up here, and I think it's not only gaming. Like, we see it in a lot of gambling things. We could see it in a lot of different NFT things. Randomization is such a difficult thing, and I think a lot of people don't understand how difficult randomization is in even in video games. It's like pseudo randomization. It's made up randomization.
Yeah.
It's non-verifiable randomization in video games. You just have to say, like, hey, if someone gave you a loot box in a video game and they say it's like 1 out of 10 chance to get it, you just have to trust them or play the game a million times and record and hope to figure out the statistics. Yeah. So this is actually a really incredible thing for games and blockchain, that even if you don't have any other blockchain in your game, using randomization and having that data on chain and having it verifiable is a very cool feature. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, for sure, I do agree. Especially for gaming, randomness or non-variable randomness is so important. So it's good to have that possibility available. And to move forward, I think, as you've been mentioned, I think what Godwoken is doing in the current ecosystem is honestly really cool. That you put a lot of work in, as of late, seeing the updates that have been made. Could you tell me what the advantages are of on Godwoken on the Nervos network for developer or projects that are onboarding in this space? And why do you think that a startup should choose Godwoken over any other platform, so to say?
Sure. I think it's a good question, and certainly one that we get asked often, like, why us and not someone else? And I think, there's a long answer. Maybe I'll stick to the short answer as best I can. So we are 100% EVM compatible, and that's a pro and a con. So the pro is you can use sort of all the EVM tools that are out there, which is like a ton, right? So that's a really good thing. Of course, the con is there's plenty of other EVM chains out there now, and there are a lot of similarities between them. So some of our advantages to this, like we said, we are the cheapest optimistic rollup out there, and in the current market, we think, okay, what's the difference between 1 and 2 cents? The market will change, so those will become, the difference between 1 to 2 cents will become a lot. When it comes to gaming, you're making possibly like thousands and thousands of transactions. So we're talking the difference between, over the life of a game, maybe $1 to $2 million difference in cost, which becomes a huge amount once we start to scale up those numbers, right? So then affordability suddenly becomes much, much bigger. So we talked about the idea of the metaverse wallet and a gasless API sort of at the integrated right at the very protocol level, instead of sort of trying to build something on top. And I think another thing too is, like, while we are very gaming specific and we want to push that direction, we want to continue to be, we're open source, we're permissionless, and we want to keep building out that ecosystem, like, again, with Hadouken as tight partners, because we want to give people sort of the whole Web3 experience and not do. So I won't name any other blockchains, but there are other blockchains out there that are gaming specific. you can't launch your own smart contracts. You can't benefit from the ecosystem. They are essentially islands, and we don't want to head that direction. So I think that's sort of one of the main differentiating factors is, we're very game specific. We build tools, you can use it, but you can benefit from all of the blockchain out there.
Yeah, that's extremely cool. Like in short, you can say that you're cheap. And I think that's the key takeaway. You're the cheapest L2 out there, but you also have the whole package with Hadouken as a tight relation. People can use the whole crypto ecosystem. That's really cool, especially if you're a gamer. If you then want to trade your NFTs or your your tokens, you can do that on Hadouken, but also use Godwoken as a gaming platform.
We'll see how that goes. Like, again, I think we don't know where it's going to go yet. We're so early in the space. We do not know how DeFi is going to be leveraged into gaming or vice versa, or all these kind of things yet. So we want to keep our options open. And I think us as a team, like say we're about 20 people right now, we can't think of everything. We can't innovate everything. We can't be everything. So by being permissionless and open source, we allow other people to help us innovate and vice versa. So
but I think you also need to be flexible in this space because it's constantly because it's so innovative, it's constantly changing and you need to adapt constantly. So I think that's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have anything to add on that regarding Hadouken? Can you perhaps tell me what you guys are up to and what is looking for the future?
Yeah, so Hadouken's very special, at least us it is. So not only is it a one-stop shop for all things DeFi, meaning that users could come over with nothing more than just an Ethereum balance and MetaMask, bridge funds over, get their wallet initialized on Godwoken, and start doing transactions. It's also the only place on Godwoken, at least right now, where users can borrow and lend a CKB. So there are tons and tons of CKB holders. And we want to give them a way to access liquidity without having to close their positions during the bear market. So you can deposit CKB into a pool. You can borrow stable coins against it. You can borrow ETH against it. You can also do the inverse as well. It's really a special product for that reason. And I mean, the reason we built it was because when you look at other DeFi applications, the amount of steps you need to go through to get onto a new chain usually involves multiple steps across different platforms, right? So you'll have to go to one platform that's a bridge, and you'll go to one platform that's a DEX, and you'll go to another platform to borrow and lend. Right? You have all these different things. You got to keep changing wallets. You got to keep changing blockchains. You have your Trezor or Ledger out or whatever, and you're clicking buttons with one hand on the Trezor, and on the other hand, you're clicking on MetaMask and switching between networks. We wanted to get rid of all that. So you don't need to have a Godwoken account. If you have an Ethereum account, you can create a transaction. It'll bridge funds over, and it'll actually initialize the Godwoken account for you, which is a new feature that we rolled out with the help of the Godwoken team, which is really great. Because you used to have to get somebody to send you something like 500 CKB, and if you don't have access to Finance or whatever in your jurisdiction, it was really hard to get that wallet initialized. And now it's all done for you with just a small amount of gas. So it's really, really a cool system.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with all the hassle you need to go through to, as you said, with bridging and stuff. I think that it's super convenient for users to have it just on the Hadouken platform.
I'm going to jump in there. Sorry, there's maybe a little delay here. And I think that's where we're aligned, right, with what Hadouken is doing and what we're doing overall is like making this process easy enough for the quote unquote average person, easy enough for your mom to do it. That they don't have to take all these extra steps, because I think that's where a lot of the friction is. So it's really exciting for what they're doing, just to make this process that much more simple.
Yeah, especially moving back, as you said, with onboarding on like the low hanging fruit. It's so convenient for people to have everything in one place without having to go through 4 or 5 multiple wallets and exchanges, and that's for me like extremely interesting to have everything in one central or decentralized space. And how can people actually get involved with Hadouken Teller? is it live yet, or are you guys in beta?
Yeah, so we're in private beta on mainnet. We just finished an audit, and we had basically three things we wanted to do before we launched out, to the general public. One of them was the audit. One of them was a complete redesign from our old version, and one of them is an integration with another company called B Protocol, which allows for crowdsourced liquidations, which is pretty cool because you're not just basically giving liquidation bonuses to MEV and bots and things like that. So we're just putting on some finishing touches. We're opening to the public fairly soon. I won't give an actual date because that's pretty much a kiss of death, as everybody knows in the development world. Yeah. And then with, of course, the holidays coming up, it gets a little tough. But I'll be working through the holidays. I don't have any time off planned, so we're hoping to launch in the next few weeks.
Okay, super cool. I'm excited. Actually, and Eric, on the Godwoken side, since you guys have a renewed focus on gamefi for now, what's your general take on play to earn games, and how do you see the gamefi ecosystem evolving or moving forward from that?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting question, and certainly one that Web3 sort of as a whole has been discussing quite a bit. We've seen sort of the rise and fall of Axie Infinities and everything that's happened there. So I would say that we are first off trying to position ourselves in the fun first gaming sector. So whether it's play to earn, I shouldn't say I don't care, whether it's GameFi, whether it's like an NFT gaming, whatever it is, as long as it's fun first, I think that's the most important fact. The second thing we're always looking for here is transparency in whatever type of game it is. So if it is play to earn, as long as that's transparent in what they're doing and, they have token economics published and everything else, then, great. I don't have a problem with it personally. And, it's probably not the thing I'm going to play. But again, fun first, transparency, that's sort of what we want to push as much as possible. And I think there's all kinds of different blockchain games that will be out there, sort of different genres. And, one of our main, I think, overall positioning is blockchain's a tool, right? More than a type of game, sort of like the internet is a tool rather than necessarily a type of game. And it can bring all kinds of things like we were talking about, VRF, it's not a type of game, but it is a pretty cool tool that you can access through Godwoken. So that's, sort of how I see things moving forward.
The number one priority is for me personally is always user experience. I think that's where it all starts. So that's also what you mentioned. I think user experience is key. If people don't like playing the game or don't enjoy playing the game, then they won't last long. That's why probably World of Warcraft is for 15 years the top one game because the user experience always has been there. And also regarding NFT, I think that's also something that's in really we just started obviously with NFT since a couple of years now, so I think it's still in its baby years, but I think as a tool, there are so many possibilities there for gaming wise. That's also why I'm super happy that we at BNF, the VRF product, to integrate in NFT related projects there. And for economic models for the NFTs or GameFi, I think it has been widely used wrong. In a Ponzi way, so to say, where you can buy an NFT and then you can play a game to earn a token. Then the question will be, okay, who's paying for the tokens? And as soon as you don't have any new users coming in, the whole economic model crashes. And can you elaborate on that, Eric, on how does Godwoken solve this common issue? Especially since your platform is on like onboarding games. I haven't seen the economic model change that much lately, but perhaps you can elaborate on that.
Again, this is something, we've discussed internally a lot. And I think there's two parts to this. One is we are a public, like I said, a public blockchain. We're permissionless, open source. So if you want to go out there and deploy a Ponzi scheme on our blockchain, there's really not a lot what we can do. Of course, I don't want people to do that. And But that being said, we don't want to gatekeeper permission how people, deploy things that's sort of against our general ethos. That being said, we do believe that we can encourage, quote unquote, good behavior, good gaming, transparency. And, we will continue to do that through like grants and funding and things like that. And so we will help to push those things forward. And the types of projects that we're giving grants to, like I said, are ones that are focused on fun first, that bring value, that are, based on the idea of transparency and these types of things. So, we're going to try and grow it in the direction that we want to see it go as much as possible. And, we think that will be successful in doing so. And I think overall, we're actually starting to see sort of the end of the play to earn model more and more. Like we still have people sort of chasing that after Axes and stuff like that. And they're like sort of hoping to capture a little bit of that magic. But at the same time, I think we also see more and more games coming out that are trying to offer more fun-based play and different sort of utility through NFTs and even through tokenization and stuff like that. But overall, the conversations that we're having with games and stuff like that, they're like, we want to be more in blockchain. We want to integrate this in our game. We want to build, how do we do this? We are certainly encouraging people to stay away from the play to earn model. We're encouraging them to stay away from tokens as sort of an intrinsic game mechanic because it's very hard to balance. And instead pushing them more towards social aspects, NFTs, and sort of the other tools that blockchain provide, at least at sort of the beginning stages of their journey. So, tokens are very difficult in games. It's very easy to sink a game economy when you start, adding real world to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
People are people, right? We want to game the system, and we will spend money to do it. And we've seen this like in DeFi. And as Teller mentioned, sort of they're aware of bots and things like that, and how they can try and avoid that. When it comes to gaming, these people building the games, they don't have any experience with that yet. There's still a lot of learning to come, I think. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, for sure. No,
something to think about, I guess.
Yeah. And what people also need to realize is a lot of companies are coming, or gaming companies are coming from Web 2 to Web 3 to make games. But you don't make a good game in like a month. That takes years to make, and that is something that people usually don't grasp. That it just takes a long time to develop a good game. And regarding what you said for the play to earn, in Web 2, obviously it's centralized. When a player buys rewards in game, like a weapon or an avatar or a skin or anything that is sold and bought within the actual game, you can't move it out of the game. It stays in the actual game where you bought it. And this is also where blockchain removes this wall. And this is also where Godwoken comes in, and then Hadouken as well. If you buy something in the game, you can move it out of the game, or so to say, sell it to a different person that can then use it. And that is in the current centralized Web 2 ecosystem not possible. That's for me a really cool thing about crypto gaming, that you can actually move things you bought in the game outside
ownership. True ownership. It's funny because we were talking about this today with our BD team. They are heading off to PAX Unplugged. So people are maybe more familiar with like PAX East and PAX West, which are video game conferences. So PAX Unplugged does some video games, but they do lots of board games and stuff. And so we're going there to talk to people about blockchain, which is going to be a very difficult, that's a difficult conversation with people. Some people are totally interested, but a lot of people, they just want to give you, the proverbial middle finger and say like, get lost. So we were discussing, today, like, how let's focus on some of the value without talking about monetization, right? And the thing about that is, as soon as you own something, you can do whatever you want with it. And as soon as you can do whatever you want with it, people like to buy and sell things. We like to put a monetary value on it. So no matter how non-monetary it is, like, it could be maybe a governance token, it could be an NFT that's just a skin, whatever it is, as long as you own it, people will find ways to buy and sell it. they will find. And I think that's an interesting thing. We're going to see how that goes. And again, that comes back to like Hadouken, having a sort of whole DeFi ecosystem along with it to see what people do, because you own it. It's up to you to how you want to use it. So I think it's a really cool thing. And like I mentioned before, we're so early. We don't know what people are going to do. This is a very big sort of social experiment in many ways.
Yeah.
So,
a month from now, everything could be totally different than like now. It's you need to be so adaptive in this space because it's constantly changing or something is happening. So yeah, but I think you guys are super flexible from what you've told me, and some ideas you've mentioned are also really interesting.
we just want to give people a place to a platform to be an experiment and not gatekeep them on how they're going to do that. So
yeah, and for gamers specifically, I think it's also really cool because as a gamer, you want to achieve or move to a certain level, and if you don't want to grind that part in Web3, you can spend money that is directly going into another user their earnings for the work they have done. And in Web2, that's also not possible. Web2 gaming. So personally, I think that's super cool. That blockchain gives that possibility. And for Godwoken, can you perhaps elaborate on how you make it interesting for the new users to hop on? What's your strategic selling point, so to say?
So I'm gonna bang the drum again. It's just a very easy onboarding experience, and then ultimately that leads to ownership or value alignment in the projects that you're doing and taking. And so for us, as a blockchain, that's about making tools for the end user that's very easy to use. Or how should I phrase this? Making tools for developers that they can pass on to the end user that's very easy to use. We can't say to those, sort of quote unquote Web2 traditional game developers, like, hey, you guys have to solve all the problems that we haven't solved yet as a blockchain. Good luck. So instead, we need to make those tools and give it to them so then they can give it to their end user to use and be easy. So that's sort of the challenges that we're solving and facing.
Yeah, now to add on that, at BAM Protocol, we do that as well. We're in the process of doing so to get like a developer toolkit that our partnerships can then use to easily move forward with what they're planning to do. So I think moving in that direction to make the tools for end users to have the easily onboarding. That's good one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing more about that in the future. Keep us updated.
We'll do. Okay, diving back into the partnership between Godwoken and BAM Protocol and Hadouken. How do you think Taylor or Eric think this will evolve as both companies work together to shape like the perfect quote unquote future?
So I mean, obviously I think blockchains, we can't survive without oracles at this point, right? Like we need that outside information, to be connected to the blockchain in some sort of a secure manner. And, that's what oracles do. And, to be honest, basically everything you guys are doing, we are consuming. We're like, okay, you guys are doing that, we'll take that. You guys are doing that, we'll take that. So I hope that we can sort of continue that relationship moving forward, and that we just, you guys make cool stuff, we get it out there into the world and into people's hands that are like actually consuming it. So more of that. Let's keep building.
For sure. Let's keep building, especially during current times. Building is like key.
Bear market building.
Before I think we've covered pretty much anything, or did I not touch on something? Tyler, perhaps you have something to add on?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Obviously, we don't do a whole lot in the on the gaming side on Hadouken, but I think it's super important. I think it's where the industry is headed. I think the applications are pretty much endless, and like Eric said, it'll probably be more around digital ownership around, the sort of unsustainable play to earn model, which we've seen kind of, boom and bust already a few times. On the Hadouken side, we're just, building out more features as we head towards launch. And we want to just be the place where, people come to do anything DeFi related on Godwoken. And we want it to also be, a bridge between different chains. And, as we kind of prepare for this multi-chain future, because I don't think there'll be one winner. I think there'll be a few winners, and I think there'll be different chains for different purposes, and we just want to be there.
Yeah, cool. I think that's why it's also super important. Multi-chain, seeing as every few months a new chain pops up that is then trying to do what the previous 5-6 chains have already tried to do, but the new chain is better in ABC, and for Godwoken, I think it's super cool that, as I mentioned or touched on earlier, that you have everything in one place. You don't need to move to a different website or different wallet. Everything is in one place, and that's for me a real good takeaway.
I want to say
low onboarding type of thing. That's really cool.
I think, in Hadouken, I believe in the long run, and maybe this is a little bit of hubris, I think they will do well on Godwoken because of the gaming. I think for us, we see gaming in some ways as sort of a Trojan horse into Web3, that currently we're not seeing a lot of new users come into Web3. We're not seeing a lot of people who say, hey, I want to get into DeFi right now. We're not seeing a lot of people say, hey, I want to buy NFTs for speculative reasons, right? We've basically plateaued in many ways. But when it comes to gaming is always popular. It's like, it doesn't matter. The end of the world is coming. We got people lining up to play the new Call of Duty game to buy it at, GameStop. GameStop. So, that is an evergreen entry point into Web3. And as we bring more and more people into the wallet and onto the chain, they will slowly branch off into other projects and products, right? And fulfill sort of, the destiny of the whole ecosystem. And if we are not innovating in new ways and creating new tools to bring in new users, projects will start to stagnate. So for us, again, like projects like Hadouken, I think will be sort of the backbone of creating a sustainable ecosystem, but also hopefully vice versa, that we can help to serve them by bringing in, new users into use their products as well. So Trojan horse, mark my word. Don't tell my users, but Trojan horse, for sure.
Cool. And I think Hadouken is like the auction house on Godwoken.
I think they will end up being sort of the DeFi auction house of Godwoken for sure. So
cool. And for the people watching, can you guys where can people reach Godwoken? What are your socials? Can you perhaps Telegram?
So Godwoken.com is our website, all one word. On Twitter, we're Godwoken Rises. We were not able to get the Godwoken tag. Whoever's got it, come to me. I will pay for it. But it was active like years ago. So Godwoken Rises is where you can find us on Twitter, and from there you can basically find all of our socials. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so our website is just Hadouken.finance, and our Twitter is at Hadouken Finance. And we encourage everybody to keep up with us there.
Cool. I'll make sure to drop the info as well in the video description when this video gets posted on our YouTube channel. I think that wraps up the AMA. I want to thank you both, Terry and Chris, for your time and joining this AMA with me. Also, everyone listening in or watching live on the Twitter Spacers. I personally want to thank our marketing team at Band for helping me put this all together. We're looking to do a lot more of these in the future. And don't forget to keep in touch with Hadouken and Godwoken, and of course Band Protocol. Make sure to subscribe to get notified for future content. And with that, I think that's going to be it, guys. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.